Thank you all for joining us today. We'll get started in just a few minutes and allow everyone a chance to join. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll give everyone a minute or so to join and get started in just a second.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carol Madam. I'm the project director from Action on Smoking and Health, the California office. We operate a program called Advancing Momentum for Tobacco-Free California. And I'm here today with my colleagues, and we're thrilled to give you a presentation on the PESO model, paid, earned, shared, and owned media. I'll introduce our presenters today. Megan Manning is the Associate Director of Communications at Action on Smoking and Health. She has 12 years of experience working in global public health communications and advocacy. At ASH, she leads our media relations, social media, website development, and email engagement. Before joining ASH, Megan worked at the Leon H. Sullivan Foundation, supporting their work to unite African American diaspora with the African continent through outreach, advocacy, and events. She also supports local startups with their communication needs. Please welcome Megan and her vast experience. Our other presenter is Alexa Arigian. Alexa is in her second year as an MPH candidate, at Columbia's Mailman School of Public Health. She's studying within the Department of Social Medical Sciences and Health Policy and Practice. Her work at ASH has included conducting research on tobacco control policies and developing materials and resources on tobacco-related topics relevant to California. Please welcome my co-hosts. And with that, I will turn it over. With that, I guess we will start the presentation. So today, as I said, we'll be talking about the four media types that are relevant to the PESO model: paid, earned, shared, and owned. And for those of you as CTCP grantees, I'm sure you're very familiar with the terms organic media and paid media. And we'll be going over those and how they relate to the PESO model today. Next slide. So our goal of today is to educate you about the PESO model, which really is a model that is all about communication. It's about building your organization's reputation. It is about building credibility, trust, thought leadership, and authority. These are all very important components of having a successful media communications plan. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Alexa as we get into the elements of the model.
Hi, everyone. We will be starting with owned media. So what is owned media? It is content that's developed by your organization. This includes your website, your blog page, graphics or fact sheets that you've made. Essentially, you control the messaging and you tell the story of your organization in the way that you want. And then you use platforms as an outlet to share them. So owned media comes first. Without content, no one really knows how your organization thinks or what values that your organization provides. So your content should be interesting. It should be valuable, educational. It should have your organization's way of thinking and be unique. If it's too similar to the types of content that other organizations produce, it's going to be harder to catch your audience's attention. So it's important to make content that stands out. This brings us to content shock. Content shock is the oversupply of content, which makes getting your organization's content seen more difficult. It's another way of saying that everyone tries to produce the same type of content, so we have to do what we can to fight content shock. And that means it's important to organize and present your organization's messaging in a way that stands out. So how do we do this? A way to make sure that you're creating content that stands out is by making it more focused and more specific. So a content map is a tool you can use to help you narrow down your topic and find the right type of content to create for your organization. Creating a content map will help you understand your target audience and their needs by giving you insights into the content that will be most appropriate for them. So this is what an overall content map looks like. We start with the main topic, which is the orange circle, and then we branch out to related subtopics, and then we branch out to supporting content. So we're going to break this down to see exactly how to build a content map for your own organization. So the first step to get started, it's important to identify and understand what your target audience wants. What questions are they asking? What are they Googling? What kind of answers are they looking for? You want to make sure that the content that you're making is relevant and it's important to them. So we've provided 2 resources down here for you to use to find those answers. Google Trend is a website which analyzes the top searches on Google. And you can search various regions and in different languages to see what people are really Googling. And Answer the Public similarly looks at search engines like Google and can give you useful phrases and questions that people are asking. So this could really show you what your audience is looking for. Once you're aware of what your audience wants to learn about, it's time to find out what your organization's priority keywords are. So first step to find your priority keywords is ask internally within your organization. Create a list. After making that list, you want to then specify those priority keywords more. Narrow them down to main topics. The more specific your main topic is, the less you have to compete with other organizations with similar priority keywords. So it's important for you to choose a word that sets you apart from others. What do I mean by this? If one of your organization's priority keywords is tobacco control, which could be a priority keywords for many other anti-tobacco organizations, you want to find a more focused version of that can set your organization's content apart. So you can specify it more. Instead of it being tobacco control, it's tobacco control policies in the state of California. So then we move on to subtopics. These could be answers to questions, how-tos, tips, all related to the main topic you've chosen. If you chose tobacco control policies in California as your main topic, you can then create content answering the questions about the following subtopics. It could be, what types of tobacco control policies exist in California? How many counties in California use tobacco control policies to improve community health? What are the key policies relevant in your county? So these subtopics all revolve around your main topic, but they narrow it down more and allow you to answer more specific questions that your audience might be asking. And this essentially will help you create content that sets you apart from other organizations' work. And once you choose subtopics to revolve your work around, it's time to determine your supporting content. So in what format are you going to be presenting these subtopics? How will you get more in-depth answering those questions? So if your subtopic is what types of tobacco control policies exist in California, then one format to present your subtopic is creating a list of current tobacco control policies in California. And you can come up with multiple ways of presenting these types of tobacco control policies, whether it's by making a list, or it's creating a fact sheet, or developing a video, or writing a blog post. Another example, if your subtopic is the question, how have counties in California used tobacco control policies to improve community health? One way to present the answer to this question is to rank all California counties with the strongest to weakest tobacco control policies. So again, you can create content in various formats to answer your subtopic question and give your target audience the answers that they're looking for. So the more unique, the better. Because owned content is content, because owned media is content that you own, and we're living in a time where social media is very relevant, there's a very low risk that a platform that you're using dies down, and a platform on which you've been building an audience dies down. Also, evergreen content, if your evergreen content remains relevant, it will always draw audiences. However, it's also important to know that building an audience on media platforms to view your own content takes time. And with the PESO model, it takes a combination of paid, earned, or shared media to actually build that audience. So creating your own content is not enough. And now I'll pass it to Megan to go through earned media.
Awesome. Thanks, Alexa. Can you go to the next slide? So to start out with what earned media is, it's most often thought of getting your name covered by a media outlet. So you're quoted, say, in the New York Times. That's what people first think of when they think of earned media, because it's something that you've earned. It's traction that you had to do something to get, unlike owned, where, like Alexa was just saying, owned is your own content. It's whatever you want it to be. Basically, earned, you have to do something to get it. Can be a TV segment, appearing on a podcast. Earned media is technically, though, just anytime another organization publishes content that mentions or quotes your organization. It doesn't just have to be a media organization. So for example, ASH does feature organizations in California through our program Organizations of Excellence. So if you're looking for a earned media opportunity, apply on our website to be featured as an organization of excellence. Next slide. Earned media provides you with the opportunity to build credibility. A media mention builds your credibility because you're portrayed as a trusted resource by that media outlet, while also amplifying your message to more audiences. And then if that news article or ASH's website links to something on your website, like research or report, that boosts your traffic on your website and your reach, because it's sending more people to your website as well. Getting another media mention also, when it's on a news website, that helps in your search engine optimization, because news websites pay a lot of money to ensure that they have a high rank on Google searches. So that means they are likely to show up on page 1. So if they are mentioning your organization's name, that boosts your search engine optimization, that when someone is searching for your brand name, you're likely to come up from that media mention. This also then leads to increased exposure for your organization. For niche topic areas, though, you can also publish a press release on your website that allows you to control the narrative entirely, and you can promote it on social media to drive more traffic there. You can pay to issue a press release through a wire service, or simply publish it for free on your website and email it out to reporters. Paste it in the body of an email though, so it's a lot easier for them. Don't send it as an attachment. If your website does have good search engine optimization as well, then reporters can find your press release as a resource when they're Googling their own searches on that issue. So for example, on that, when the New Zealand Endgame bill was about to be introduced last year, Ash knew that the bill was coming. We pitched several reporters saying, this new bill is coming. We're very excited. You've covered the tobacco endgame before, or you've covered the tobacco-free generation concept before. Would you be interested in covering it again? No one replied that they were interested. Some said they didn't have time. So when the bill did get introduced, we issued a press release, and a day or so later, got several media requests asking for interviews because we were one of the only organizations who had published a press release supporting the bill. And so then when reporters are doing their own Google searches, if we're one of the only organizations talking about an issue, then they're going to reach out to us. And the quote that we used in our press release was also used by some media organizations. So that's just an example of using a press release. We didn't pay to issue it. We just published it on our website and emailed it out, but that showed up in reporters' Google searches, and we were able to get additional earned media exposure as a result of it. Next slide. So when you craft that media list, how does it go? So I would start out by doing a Google search again. There's a lot of Googling that goes on in this. Google those priority keywords that Alexa just talked you through. What's sort of the basis of your own media? Google all of that to determine your media list. See which outlets are coming up, what blogs, podcasts, who's coming up on the first page, who's coming up on the second page. Top media outlets may be harder to get, like the New York Times. Everyone's pitching the New York Times. So look for some of those niche media outlets as well. You can have a lot of impact on them as well. Start tracking the organizations you're seeing. So start out with looking at the media outlets themselves, but then start diving in deeper. Who at that media outlet is covering your issue? Which reporters are covering the health issue? Who's covering tobacco control even? There aren't many reporters who have a tobacco beat. Many are a health reporter, so they're not covering tobacco on a daily basis. But if you see someone who is covering tobacco with a higher frequency, then you know they're more likely to respond to you. So if you can do this from a paid model or a free model. So from a free model, just start an Excel sheet of organization, reporter, what their beat is. So if they are a health reporter or a breaking news reporter, things like that. And you can start tracking that and run your own Google searches, like I said, to get all of that information. And if you're trying to do it for free, if you have an Excel, you can use Microsoft Word and do an email merge to that Excel list and contact the reporters that way. Other than contacting relevant reporters who are most likely to cover your issue, your goal is to be timely. So you want to contact the right people, but you want to do it in a timely manner. Reporters live in a breaking news environment, so they need your pitch to come when it corresponds with the news environment and what people are talking about right now. So you can even use that other tool that Alexa was talking about of the top Google trends to see what are people talking about right now. Does my issue tie into what the current media landscape is talking about? Because then you're more likely to get a reporter to cover your issue. And at the same time too, after you've pitched them, if they reply saying, I'd love to set up an interview, or can I get more information? Be quick, be timely in your response as well, because they're often operating on a deadline. And you should ask that right away. What is your deadline on this as well? Just so that you can ensure that you're not missing any responses to them, and you know how quick you need to be. So like I said, when someone quotes or mentions your organization, that is your earned media. Next slide. So I said you can do it for free using Excel. You can also use it for free using this feature called Propel, PRM. It lets you monitor media mentions. You can search keywords or topics or issues in their database. There's a paid version of Propel or a free version. I think you get sort of different features depending on if you're doing the paid or free option. There's tons of other paid options for reporter databases if you have that as an opportunity. But whether you use the email feature or not, it's great to have somewhere that you're tracking everything that's happening and who's covering your issue. Next slide. So important tips to remember to get reporters to cover your topic. You can email them directly with a media pitch, like I said, or even an expert comment. So if you see that there's breaking news on a certain issue, like when you saw everyone publishing articles about the New Zealand endgame bill, you can just email a reporter saying, here's our comment on it. And if they happen to be writing an article, they might be like, that's perfect. Now I have someone to quote, and they didn't even have to reach out. So that's also an option. Make sure when you're doing a pitch that's not that breaking news, that it is still valuable, interesting, and timely, but also relevant to the outlet that you're pitching. For example, you would pitch AARP magazine, very different content than you would pitch Teen Vogue magazine. So think about it from the reporter's perspective. What's relevant? Who's reading their content? What are they most interested in? If it's a local outlet, they may be more interested in it if it has a local hook and not national news. It just depends entirely on who's reading that piece of media. When you pitch something, there are terms of art. So if you use the word exclusive, that is a term of art. If you use the word embargo, that is a term of art. You need to use them very intentionally. So exclusive means that you have only offered that entire piece of information, that entire report, that entire breaking news insider take to one reporter. And you are offering it to them. And until they decline it, your exclusive offer rests with them. So do not offer three people an exclusive take. It's not an exclusive. You will burn bridges very quickly with reporters. Only use that term if you truly are offering someone an exclusive. The way I've done it before is I don't tell the full story in my first offer of, so I would say like, we have this piece of information. If you're interested in an exclusive on it, please let me know by this date. Otherwise, I will be moving on. And so you can sort of build in that time frame for yourself in case they don't respond, but you need to give them sort of first right of refusal in that information. Embargo is different. Embargo is just telling them, here's our report. It's releasing in 2 days. Have a look at it. It releases on this day at this time. So let them know when it will become public and when your release is. But embargo, you can send to tons of people. You can send them an embargoed press release. You can send them an embargoed report, an embargoed campaign initiative, anything like that. So if you're sending to multiple people, embargo, exclusive is a lot more involved. So be careful in your use of those words. Next slide. Now amplifying that earned media. When you get media coverage, post it everywhere on social media, tag the journalist, tag the outlet. Reporters are evaluated based on the number of clicks to their article. So don't take the full article and post it on your website. That would be plagiarism anyway, but your goal is to drive traffic to their website. It's not just for people to read your content, because a reporter is more likely to cover the issue again if they get a ton of metrics that everyone was visiting that article and staying a long time, reading the whole thing, everything like that. Your goal is to send them as much traffic as possible. A lot of reporters are also quite active on Twitter. So I would look on Twitter if you're looking on only one social media platform to share your article, share it on Twitter, tag the journalist, tag the outlet, so that everyone knows this is an important issue. The reporter should cover it again, basically. Yeah, I would send an email blast out everything you can to amplify your earned media. Next. So these are just the summaries that we're doing for each issue, is the pros and cons. So pros of earned media, it's very authoritative. It shows that someone else believes in you, believes you're a qualified voice. Cost effective. You may not, if you're doing it from the paid side, you may not need to pay a ton, or the free side, you may not need to pay a ton, but it is expensive on the other side if you have to put a ton of time into it, doing all that research of who to contact, everything like that. Long-term benefits, like we said, the search engine optimization, it gets you on Google, it gets you higher ranked so that people see your organization as valuable. But on the con side, it's not a guarantee. It's unreliable that how many press mentions you'll get on a regular basis, and it's hard to scale just because it does sort of depend on the media landscape at the time. I'll turn it back to you, Alexa.
Great, thank you, Megan. So now I'll be covering shared media. So shared media is social media. This is what many organizations use as their source of external communication. The goal is to find what platforms your target audience is using and engage with them there, speaking to them in colloquially and naturally. So it's important to find which social media platforms your audience is using. You can use these 3 methods to do it: search, analyze, and survey. We start by conducting a search. This is very similar to what we had said previously on Google. Take your organization's top keywords and start searching for them on Google. What specific shared media responses turn up from that search? Are you seeing community sites? Are you seeing news articles, podcasts, blogs, Twitter pages, etc.? You want to take a note of this because this is what will come up when your audience is also searching the answers to their questions. And also the top searches that are coming up are the ones that get a lot of interaction and as well. So it's important to note these. And then we analyze. This is easy to do if you have a Google Analytics account. If you don't, we have the website tagged on the bottom, and you could visit their website to learn more. It's just a website that tracks and reports website traffic, and it gives you tools to understand your audience. So the tools include review audience data and behavior data. This essentially can tell you a lot of information about your audience, who is visiting your website, how long are they staying on your website, which websites are they going to next. You could use this information to compare the top visited pages of your audience and compare that to the top resources you've listed on your own website. Here are a few examples of information that Google Analytics can give you. So how many people are visiting your page from each state? How many sessions are occurring on your website in 1 month, per month, during the year? How many page views have you received in a day? And so on. And then lastly, you can conduct a survey. So ask your audience, where are they getting their information from? What social media platforms are they using? What do they trust the most when they're looking for information? It's important to note that shared media is not a one-size-fits-all. You must know where your audience is first, and then you can start engaging with them and building relationships with them. It's all about communicating and then maintaining those relationships. The ASH website provides many resources around using social media. We've created specific guide sheets, training videos that could help you get started on different social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and more. We've linked them here, but you can also find them on our website. And then we kind of summarized the pros and cons. So using and amplifying your content on social media is important and it's low cost. People trust their peers and friends on media platforms more than they trust ads most times. So there is a lot of trust when it comes to shared media. It's also a free way to connect to people. Sometimes it could be difficult to grow your page, get engagement, get more shares. So you have to keep building on your relationship with the people on these platforms, maintain them, and share content that is relevant to them.
Okay.
And I'll be passing it to
For paid media, you can go to the next slide. So paid media looks different for every organization. In the PESO model, paid media includes social media advertising, the paid version of a press release. Like I said, you can do it for free, Google advertisements, paid lead generation, email campaigns. You can do emails for free too if you have sort of an email merge platform. But paid media allows you to reach the people that you want with the information that you want them to see. Next slide. You don't want to promote every single piece of content you produce though. So if you think back to when Alexa was covering owned media, everything you're going to produce, everything does not need to be paid to promote further. Ideally, you'll get some organic reach as well using the shared media techniques that she is talking about. One way to choose what you want to promote, at least on social media, is to review your most popular content each month. That shows that your current followers are engaging the most with that type of content that's really engaging and interesting to them. So that's more likely to help you recruit more people into your cause. And so you can amplify and sponsor that piece of content itself, which may just look like if it was a graphic you posted, now you upload that graphic into the ad portal and run an ad with that same content. And obviously only if it aligns with your primary messaging goals. You don't want to promote something that isn't the first thing you want people to think of when they think of your organization. You can test it once a month on each platform, evaluate which posts do best, fine-tune your audience segmentation though with each ad. So on the Facebook side of things, it lets you choose a lot of details about the people specifically that you're trying to reach. So play around with that, switch up different elements of it, switch up different interest areas of it. There's always ways to find more people. And if you're interested in retrieving your analytics on social media, Ash has a resource for that. It's linked here and on our website. Next slide. In general, a sort of a way to think about paid media is that you'll create your content, advertise it, and then blast it out further. So how we were talking about amplifying your earned media, like keep sharing everything that you're using. Next slide. I know Facebook ads are a high priority for a lot of people, so we'll go into that a little more specifically. I know in tobacco control, it can be frustrating. We tend to get a lot of our ads rejected, but they do work. And so it is worth putting in the time and effort to fine tune your Facebook ad campaign to ensure that you are getting ads published. The first thing you should do if your ads are being rejected though, is to ensure that you are personally registered as a social issue advertiser. This is something that is not based on your organization. It's based on you as an individual, and it's required to run all tobacco control ads. And if multiple people in your organization want to run Facebook ads, they will all need to personally be registered as a social issue advertiser. As an anecdote that just came up in our last meeting, also, when my last name changed, I had to re-register with Facebook because it's tied to me personally. Nothing on the Facebook side of Ash's Facebook page changed, but to be a social issue advertiser, you need to personally verify your identity. It's Facebook's way of trying to combat like trolls running harmful Facebook ads. So do that first. It takes a little time, but it's worth the effort. Then if your ads are still not working, fine tune those audiences. Look at different people that you can be reaching out to, narrow it down a little. Like maybe you've tagged in too many interest areas and one is taking over because everyone's clicking on it. So just keep playing around with those different audiences and segmenting in different ways. And then also look at the creative you're using, which is like the graphic or video or link. Think about maybe that did really well with our organic audience, but it isn't doing well with these new ad audiences. What else can we show them? I'd look for a video. Videos tend to do really well, especially vertical videos. So try that next. And if you want to see our tool on getting your Facebook ad approved, we have that linked for you on this slide and on our website. And if your ad, is rejected, appeal the decision. That's what that tool tells you. It's worth filing that appeal. So hit appeal every chance you can. Next slide. So the types of ads that you can run a content marketing ad, which means that your goal there is to build awareness, trust, and authority among people who are clicking on it. A lot of times a content ad might look like just a fact that you're trying to share because your goal is to educate people. You're showing them content. That's why it's called a content marketing ad. And it's an issue area that you're trying to reinforce an idea or educate people on a certain topic. These provide people with value. They can learn more, they can attend an event, read through a blog, or take an action. Next slide. Conversion marketing ads is that another type of ad where your goal is to convert a person and get them to take a tangible action. This might be answering a survey, registering for an event, providing their email to download a document. It's a higher value ad. So on Facebook, they do cost more money, and it's a little more work on Facebook's side of things. But if that's not your goal, if your goal is just awareness, then you can start with that content marketing ad. Conversions will get you sort of a database of people who you can reach out to again or retarget with additional ads. Next slide. On the tracking conversion side of things too, Facebook or Meta does also offer a pixel that you can add onto your website. For us, we had a developer do it, but on your Facebook ad portal, it gives you the option to create a pixel so that if someone is going to click from a Facebook ad onto your website and take an additional action, that's able to track through as a conversion, and you'll know that that person took that action based on your Facebook ad. So it's helpful for tracking your analytics and just knowing sort of the stream of how people got where they got. But you may need a developer to do it, because the pixel is like website coding that would go on the back end of your website. Then you can also run those retargeting ads, which is a way to show people who have already engaged with you in some way your content again. And this is pretty essential too, just because it takes people several touches of the same piece of information for it to sink in, for it to either change their mind or get them to take an action. So you want to keep sharing your information with the same people, and a retargeting ad is a way to do that. Next slide. Closing the loop is another type of ad. So this is anyone who has already clicked on your ad or converted. You're giving them another action to take, and just sort of closing the loop on their interest to get them to eventually change their behavior. Next slide. So the pros and cons of paid media. Pro, it's scalable. More money equals more distribution. Con, though, at the same time, that's expensive. You're having to buy that reach that you're looking for, and it comes with a cost. Another pro is that it's reliable. You're guaranteed that level of exposure because of whatever you're paying for. But a con is that people have a lower trust in anything that they see is a paid ad, because they know that you've paid to get there. And so it's not seen as like a credible of a piece of content because you didn't earn it. So the earned media, that's why earned media comes with a higher trust level. But a pro is that it's very fast. You can put your message in front of who you want as soon as you want. And then a con is that once you stop investing, the traffic ends. And so that's why too, you want to amplify whatever you're doing and repost your paid content in other places so that it can live on longer. Next slide. The last piece of the PESO model is thought leadership. And that's basically saying your organization or the leadership of your organization are considered trusted experts in your field. And this is essential to build now because the public is sort of struggling with who to trust on what issues. And so your organization should definitely prioritize having the organization itself and the leadership of your organization seen as trusted thought leaders in your field. Now, your job to help them get that respect and recognition will require you to have a firm commitment to the long game. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with one really well-written policy paper or one presentation at a conference. You'll have to keep sharing that message over and over. You also want to stay focused on a singular concept. That doesn't mean only one policy at all, but you can't be the go-to expert for every single topic that exists everywhere. You need to have a focus. You need to have your sort of issue or few issues that you're known for that tie together. And then you need to have that concise and clear way that you're sharing those issues with people. try and present them in a unique and factual way. A lot of that creation will come from your owned media conversations that Alexa was talking about. And then just repeat your message over and over again. Our goal today was to sort of show you all the different channels and ways you can repeat your content over and over, because you need to keep repeating it through different platforms. And so your goal is to keep a diverse communications portfolio and use each of the different areas we talked about today, from paid, earned, shared, and owned. So I will turn it back to Carol to go over some of the resources that we have available.
Thank you, Megan. As you can see here, we have created a resource sheet for you based on the content of this training. So we have the overview of the PESO model and then the specific elements of each of the different types. This resource guide is available on our website, and I will put our website in general in the chat in just a moment. But when you receive when you receive the slides for this presentation, you'll see that there is a link there as well. And another great resource we have for you that was mentioned is, if you could, next slide, is how to retrieve analytics from different social media platforms. So I know this is very important for progress reporting for CDCP grantees. We've listed all of the different sort of social media platforms: Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And we identify and show you infographics of how to go to the right places and what to click on to get the kind of report you need to be able to respond to your reporting requirements, both for organic and paid media within CTCP. And again, the link to receive this is on this slide and also on our webpage. Next. So this concludes the training aspect. We hope that you'll have some questions or comments that we can respond to. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you of something that was mentioned earlier in the training. Next slide. We do have a showcase on our website called Organizations of Excellence. And this is just a way to spotlight your organization and what you do through the website, and therefore all the traffic that we get to our website. It's very easy. There's a link on our webpage. You go to that and you just fill out a couple of pieces of information, your mission statement, a little bit about what you do, and then we will showcase you each month within our webpage. So I'd like to open it up to questions and comments. I know there was one question that I received, which is Google Analytics free? Maybe you could address that, Megan or Alexa.
Yeah, Google Analytics is free, but you'll need to add the Google Analytics code onto your website, which for us included asking our website developer to do it. And the tricky part of that is a Google Analytics only track based on starting when that information gets put on your website. So if it's not, the code is not on your website right now, it's not going to be able to backtrack until the coding is there. So I would prioritize doing that quite quickly.
And another question, that we got is there's an LLA that they are prohibited from posting social media. And the question is, how can we show the effectiveness of social media? How can we convince our administrators that social media is a value to, I guess, the programs we're running?
I think it would depend on what specifically your programs are, but there are tons of case studies online about the values of communications, and some even on selling communications and social media internally. We use Hootsuite as our paid social media scheduling tool. And I know Hootsuite does a ton of documents like that and training resources as well. So they may have some case studies on the value of social media, but I would look to some of those, because I think you're going to need to sell it based on what your programs are and how it would benefit your specific programs. So I think it's hard to say generally.
And I just put Megan's email in the chat. If you want to know more about where to access some of those things that she's referencing, please send her an email and I'm sure she'll be able to guide you to where some of those reports are or even find some of them. We don't have any other questions. I'm sure folks must have some. Please put them in the Q&A box or in the chat, questions regarding the content. And as I said, this training will be available on the ASH California website, along with all the resources. So I'll just give you a minute here for folks to consider any questions they might have or comments. We really hope you have some questions. Okay, thank you, Gonzalo. Very good presentation. We appreciate that. We appreciate that as well as the questions. Does anyone else have questions or comments that they would like to have addressed? Okay, the question is, would a paid press release be like using PR Newswire or like buying space from an outlet? Megan, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways to think about it. I think about it as paying PR Newswire to put it out through a wire service. There are more services like that. I think I would consider buying space from a media outlet to be an ad. And if you were running an ad, I wouldn't necessarily run it with press release content. I think you would probably run different content, more like editorial content, is how I would look at it. But yeah, there's several wire services and add-on features and things like that for whatever scope you're looking for. And yeah, if anyone, that other question too about the LLA selling it internally too, if we do have time, and if they want to talk more, we can also try and open that up or unmute them to talk more about that situation, but I'll turn it back to you.
And I guess, Megan, ASH has used PR Newswire in the past for our paid releases, correct?
Yes, ASH has a account with PR Newswire. We pay for the annual fee so that we have it. We've bought a package before where you'll have like 3 wires a year to use, but it hasn't been that big of a difference. And we tend to, at the end, be sort of rushing to add a press release based on the fact that we bought that pre-sale package. But PR Newswire does let you buy an annual subscription and then buy a wire as you need it, so that you haven't prepaid and you're not just issuing news to issue news.
Christine asks, a former staff person has locked us out of posting ads on Facebook. Can this be reversed?
I would think so. I'm not positive how they would have locked you out. And you may need them to work with you on that. Did they get the account flagged in some way? I think.
Is there any way you can unmute Christine?
Yeah. Give me 1 second and I can unmute Christine Johnson. Okay. Christine, you should be able to unmute now.
If you could tell us a little bit about how they locked you out, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I don't do the media. I'm the program coordinator. The person who's doing the media is not with us today, but she has informed me that we are unable to post paid ads on Facebook because of a former staff person who's not around anymore. So she's tried to get that reversed, but I'm wondering if there's any tips you can give me to how to approach that.
So I think I'm wondering if they tried to run ads before they were verified as a social issue advertiser. I would first ensure that whoever is trying to run the ads right now is registered as a social issue advertiser, because if they are not registered, then you wouldn't be able to run ads anyway.
All right, thank you.
To follow up on this though, Christine, you've got Megan's email, and if you'd like to research that a little bit and then follow up with us, there perhaps is a way that we can help you untangle this in the future.
Yeah, I'm happy to do even like a screen share with your Facebook manager so we can see the settings, because I think it would be helpful to me to see what they're seeing.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Wendy, thank you for your offer of rejected posts a little bit ago. Ash put out a request for us to see your rejected Facebook ads. Our time has passed for collecting those, but I sure appreciate it if you were going to be considering offering some. Yes, Gail, it is okay to follow up with Megan later. And here's a question from Jade, is that can shared media be a type of earned media?
I think yes, if it's someone else is posting your content, because shared is when your organization is organically posting. So if Ash posts about your organization, that is still sort of like a mention from someone else. Earned media is anytime someone else is posting about your content. And shared is sort of what other people think of as the organic social media content, because you have full control of what's being shared.
Caitlin asks, where would a radio spot fall under? Earned, she suggests, and I guess obviously we would assume with your suggestion for earned that this was not a paid radio spot, but perhaps you could address that, Megan.
Yeah, I was just going to say that earned, if it's free, earned if you've paid for the radio spot, then paid.
Our coalition Facebook page is restricted from posting paid ads. We tried doing a page verification, but Facebook has not gotten back to us. How can we fix it?
So the verification that you need, the social issue advertiser, is not for the page itself. It's for the person who is the advertiser. And so that you as an individual, whoever is running the Facebook ads, needs to do that social issue advertiser verification. And so that's why I got banned from running Facebook ads for Ash when my name changed, and nothing changed from Ash because it's about me and it's tied to my identity. So you need to verify your own identity in the process.
Here's a great question. Any best practices on measuring the return on investment with paid social media ads? Is it analytics, tracking followers, clicks to calls of action? And I think Megan is going to say it's probably all of those and more. What do you think, Megan?
I think it depends on what your initial goal was from that social media ad. Especially Facebook lets you run different types of ads. So if you're doing a reach ad, your return on investment is going to be if you got a lot of reach. If you're doing a conversion ad, which like I said, are the more expensive ads, then your return on investment is if you were able to convert people and get signups on anything. Or if your goal is link clicks, that's one of the features on Facebook too, then it's clicks over to your website. So I think it really depends on the type of ad that you're running, because it's not just always going to be clicks on something. It depends on the type of ad you're running, because that also informs how Facebook runs it, serves it, and how much you pay.
We've got a few thank yous and offers that this was an informative presentation. So thank you everyone for those. I don't see any other questions, but I'll just add a little bit here is that Ash, California is the CTCP statewide media and communications technical assistance provider. And so there's a lot of things that we can do for you individually. Certainly some of these questions, the follow-up for you, try to find the solutions. If you're not able to, please reach out to us and we'll do one-on-one individual technical assistance to try to meet your needs. If you're starting something, let us know and we can help guide you through it. We're also able to complete, with your help, your communications plan, or looking at the metrics that you would like for your communications plan. That's also something that we have found helpful to particular LLAs. And we also have the opportunity to help you with creatives. If you're not sure exactly what to develop from a message, we have the ability to assist you in finding those keywords and looking at what a creative might look like. Lastly, if you are looking for a different type of paid media and doing retargeting, which we really haven't talked about too much today, one service that ASH offers is Feather. It's FEATHR. Feather is a service that you can use to do a variety of different types of retargeting, and retargeting being simply different ways to reach out to an already defined audience. So we'll be happy to talk to you more if you're interested in using Feather in any way. Are there? Okay. Question from Shannon is anyone using Propel Public Relations Management? Do we use, I mean, I assume we're using it, Megan, probably a paid version.
So I have a free version of Propel, and a paid version of Agility is a more expensive version of a reporter database. And so Propel I learned about through the National Press Club, actually. And I did the free membership just because why not? And I've used it just to search and sort of compare with my other results from those Google searches and from my other searches in Agility. So as with everything, I love a diverse communications campaign. And so I think it's definitely worth trying the free version out and searching your keywords and seeing who comes up with the different features. I have not used Propel to send emails to people. You can just sort of make a media list in Propel and then copy and paste the emails into your Outlook and send them out. So that's how I've used it so far. But it did find other people that hadn't been entirely on my radar. So it is interesting to try out different services, because I think different companies code people in a different way or stay up to date with journalists in a different way.
I'd like to conclude with a request that you participate in our evaluation of this webinar. I've put the link in the chat. And the other thing about this is that we'll be selecting our evaluators will be selecting 4 random people to win a $50 gift card. This is a gift card to a gift card mall where you're able to select the type of gift card you would like. It's not a predetermined vendor. And that being said, even regardless of that, we'd really appreciate your feedback on the training. We hope to be doing this again, and any way that you see it can be improved or changed would be really valuable for us. If there are no other questions, again, I just encourage you to sign up to be an organization of excellence. I'm sure that all of you are. And again, a request to complete our evaluation survey. Megan or Alexa, is there anything you'd like to add to close out?
No, I think I'm all set, but thank you everyone for joining us.
Well, thank you, Megan and Alexa, for presenting this great information. And again, reach out to us individually if you have further questions or need assistance in any of the ways regarding media communications. And it's been a pleasure talking to you all today, and we hope to see you at a future ASH training. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.